to six police checkpoints. I'm going to try to show you a picture now of the swarms of people that are coming into the area. Many workers wearing face masks because this smell is strong. Let's look at this picture of the NASDAQ site here. I am told at 9:15 there will be a moment of silence honored there at its work site in a show of solidarity for those who have lost their lives and those who are fighting to save lives. And we will join Lou Dobbs on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange right at 9:30 as the opening bells ring. And joining us throughout the morning to give us as many perspectives as we can find, John King, who will be following the developments around the White House and on Capitol Hill. He joins us from Washington this morning. Bill Hemmer, who will join us from outside the New York Stock Exchange, who will continue to talk to these workers who are finding a new reality when they show up for work this morning, and Miles O'Brien, of course, who will have the very latest on the investigation. And that's exactly where we're going to start this hour with Miles to bring us up to date on the very broad investigation underway right now. Hi, Miles.
Thanks very much, Paula. Good morning to you. Here are the latest developments in America's new war. Pakistani officials presented a U.S. demand to the Taliban government in Afghanistan today. The demand: turn over Osama bin Laden or face an attack from the U.S. The Federal Reserve, in anticipation of the opening of the markets, announced a 0.5% interest rate cut. 2 new arrest warrants have been issued for material witnesses in connection with last week's terrorist attacks. 2 others are being held as material witnesses. A UN agency says an already catastrophic humanitarian crisis is becoming worse as refugees leave Afghanistan in anticipation of a possible U.S. attack. And the skies are busy over the U.S. The FAA says as of 7 a.m. Eastern, there were more than 2,000 jetliners in the skies. During peak times, on an average day, there are between 4,500 and 5,000 flights in the skies at any given moment. Back to you, Paula.
All right, thanks so much, Miles. We head straight down to the New York Stock Exchange. A lot of news made this morning. Americans can look forward to a 0.5% rate cut. Lou, what do you think the impact of that rate cut will be?
I think the impact, while helpful, Paula, will not determine certainly the direction of this market. It does improve the environment, an environment that can stand, of course, all of the help that it can possibly receive. But that 50 basis point cut, that half-point cut, is just not going to be significant in terms of what happens here, at least in the early hours of trading. We're starting to see some indication of selling pressure that we'll be facing these men around the trading post when we open in just about 27 minutes. We're getting some strong indications of selling on the ADRs for U.S. stocks that are traded here overseas. We are in Instinet trading. We see Microsoft, Intel, Oracle, Cisco, all of those stocks in early Instinet trading are off 6%. Now, again, that's not a particularly liquid market, but it is an indication. Perhaps it won't be that severe, but certainly there is an indication. And we know, because of the nature of this terrorist attack, that the airline industry and the fact that it has been curtailed in the last 6 days, we knew that it would be under pressure, and indeed it is. On the Instinet trading desk, those stocks are down significantly. In the case of SkyWest and Frontier, 2 small air carriers, their shares off more than 20% in early indications. So that 50 basis point rate cut has a lot of work to do to influence the outcome here.
There is a lot of debate over a congressional or potential congressional bailout of the airline industry. Lou, how much trouble is the American airline industry in today?
Well, it's in significant trouble. Airports closed, as you know. Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. is closed. Continental, Delta, both have curtailed their schedules by 20%. We're expecting, obviously, more layoffs. Continental announcing the layoffs last week of some 13,000 employees. They're in difficult trouble. They have about 1 month's cash on hand, so there will be some assistance required by the federal government, and indeed the Congress. The House of Representatives is already working very hard to put together an appropriate package, whether that takes the form of a classic bailout or an extension of guarantees or loans. We don't know, but it will be there, and it will be significant.
All right. If you look at the front page of the New York or the Wall Street Journal, which I know you did today, economists are saying that a recession may be unavoidable. But earlier this morning, you were touching on consumer confidence levels. Do you expect consumer spending to freeze?
Consumer spending certainly won't freeze, but it has obviously been affected by the reduction in air travel last week, the fact that people could not open their businesses and buy products here on the lower part of Manhattan. That's a small part of the larger macrocosm that is the economy. But at the same time, we saw in the most recent CNN Gallup poll, President Bush's approval ratings have never been higher. The American people are obviously united in what the president has called what he has called a new war, a war against international terrorism. So we can't make these judgments too early. There are a lot of positive indications, but we also, in this free market democracy, have a lot to work through. That's going to begin at 9:30 here, Paula, as we watch these stocks begin trading for the first time in less than a week.
Well, we're going to join you for that moment, and we're also going to join you when a moment of silence follows that opening bell. Thanks, Lou, for that update. I was actually struck by a trader behind you who appeared to be holding an American flag in his crossed arms. Right now, I want to show you a little bit of what I saw yesterday. I was able to get into the area of Ground Zero, an area where journalists have not been able to get into. I pardon you for the quality of these pictures. I was not allowed to shoot any video, but this represents as close to anybody has gotten of what is going on in the rescue effort. You can just get an idea of the sheer force of the blast that came through here. It is so eerie to see a partial structure, a building like that stand. I don't know how else to describe it. It is shocking when you see it. This is an adjoining building to the east of where the World Trade Centers once stood. Someone able to get a flag up there. You look at all these adjoining buildings, One Financial Plaza here, a lot of windows blown out, 100 buildings in the surrounding area, either damaged or in some way structurally degraded. This is what I was struck by, how instructions were spray painted on the walls of buildings. This is an aid station. Here you see what we call graffiti, where rescue workers have put messages like this on the walls. Be safe. Very poignant messages. You are loved. You are missed. And we saw dozens of windows. Now, this is interesting. Look, the New York Fire Department Buildings unit was here. You know, never say die. I never thought hate could do this. God bless you all. Many tears will fall, but we will continue. It makes us stronger. It says, to who we are. I'm proud to be here as part of this team. More messages here from the Montauk Fire Department, all written in the ash, which still is caked onto the windows. Personal messages here, but in addition to that, we also saw fire workers and iron workers marking where they had been. This is Local Union 361. This is the front door of the HSBC Bank. We will overcome. A lot of the lobbies of these buildings being used for triage to store supplies for the rescue workers. This is the outside of the HSBC Bank, once again marking where you could go to get first aid help. You could see how quickly people were pressed into action. God bless America, and you see things like that once again scribbled into the cake of ash that still covers many, many windows in New York. Let's right now go back to Bill Hemmer, who continues to stand by on duty outside the New York Stock Exchange. You've had a chance to discuss what the work life is going to be like for many of the 75,000 workers who have converged on this area. What else are they telling you, Bill?
Yeah, Paula, good morning once again. I tell you, this is an absolutely remarkable sight. This part of New York, or any part of New York, has never seen a scene like this before. Joe, if you could, go ahead and push past me a second. I want to show our viewers further up Broad Street here what's taking place right now. Pardon my back here as I turn. The New York Stock Exchange, the front facade is on the left up the street. What we're seeing here, construction workers using backhoes to help lay additional cable line and fiber optic equipment. Police are everywhere, sirens, rotating across on the top of a number of vans and police cars. Security extremely tight. National Guard is here, state and local police as well. And if we can go up just a little further, things are starting to clear somewhat because we're only, I guess, about 20 minutes away from the opening bell. But this scene that you're watching right now is just, it really takes you back. In the history of Wall Street, one has never seen anything like we're watching today. More security personnel coming through up the street here again. If we could show our viewers a higher angle, I believe we have a camera positioned well above the New York Stock Exchange that shows the front facade of the New York Stock Exchange with that giant flag that's been exposed. And again, a symbol again of the financial strength in this company and what Richard Grasso, the chairman, has said. His intention is to show that indeed the stock exchange is safe and secure and strong once again. The other thing you pick up, Paula, as you watch this particular angle, the air again is full of smoke throughout the day here. We're watching the smoke and the steam drift our way. It appears it's drifting eastward at this time, and people walking throughout the street here with masks and other articles of clothing held up to their mouth, trying to keep that smoke out of their lungs. We've just been told that the governor, the New York governor, George Pataki, has arrived. He, along with New York's mayor, Rudy Giuliani, will help participate today in the ringing of the opening bell above the trading floor. Also, the Treasury Secretary, Paul O'Neill, arrived hours ago, about 6 a.m. Local time today. Also, Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton is on hand today. We are seeing a number of people come out, and for those who are looking for strength and security in the markets, indeed, the people who have showed up here today, are trying to display again their confidence in what we're seeing. I mentioned security. It's extremely tight. There are brokers and traders and employees of the New York Stock Exchange that normally they tell us they can pass through security in about 10 or 15 seconds, but today they are stacked up hundreds in line, getting bags checked, going through x-ray machines and waiting to get to work. Also, a worker just came up to me here and informed me if people are watching, trying to get to work today, they're saying when they get off the subway system here, they're checking IDs very carefully. They say if you want to pass and get through, bring your company ID. They're indicating that that is the best way of having success they're getting here. And we talked about the emotion. So much emotion here in this part of New York City, the financial district. Many of the people that were working here last Tuesday, new people, friends and family members in the World Trade Center, and it cannot be underscored enough how much emotion they must be feeling at this point. We talked to a number of people thus far today who say in many ways it's just good to be back, to see friends and colleagues again, but others say that the smoke in the air reminds them of last Tuesday. One person even saying that it smelled like death. About 15 minutes away from the open. We'll watch it from down here on Broad Street, right near the New York Stock Exchange. Paula?
I'm surprised to see your eyes look as clear as they look this morning. I know when I got out of there yesterday, my eyes were stinging, and
wow.
I had to wear a mask in the area that I went into. You feel it, don't you?
Yeah, indeed you do, and you can smell it too, and it does get in your eyes, and that's a good reason why so many masks have been passed out. And as I look down the street again, people continue to stream up, Paula, and so many watching their mouths and making sure their lungs are indeed are A-OK. We'll watch it again. Back here shortly.
All right, thanks so much, Bill. We're going to go back to the NASDAQ worksite where we are just about 2 minutes away from a moment of silence, honoring those who have fallen, those that continue to fight to save lives downtown. In a very interesting note, the head of NASDAQ, after that moment of silence, will actually be headed for the New York Stock Exchange in a show of solidarity. These two exchanges are quite competitive, what one might say in an understatement, and that is seen as a very powerful signal to the folks that work down there of a strong show of unity. Let's check in with Greg Clarkin right now, who follows NASDAQ matters. Now, these tech stocks were in a state of flux and volatility before this. Greg, what are you hearing about what confronts traders there today?
Well, Paula, right now things look like to be a very jittery marketplace. What's called the pre-open trading period has been going on for about 45 minutes. That's where some NASDAQ stocks trade on some of the electronic trading networks. Just take a look quickly at some of these names. And these are companies that have issued buybacks. The SEC relaxing their rules on buying when a company can buy back stock, how much they can buy back. Today, dozens of companies doing that as a sign of confidence and hoping to lend some stability to the marketplace. Cisco Systems said it would buy back about $3 billion worth of its stock. Its stock is down sharply. Starbucks, the same story. It's going to buy back its stock. Its shares are off sharply. Intel also increasing its buyback program. It is